My name is Connie Liebich, and I'm the author of Victorious Mother, Natural Remedies to Help Your Child Win the Mental Health Battle. And that's exactly why I'm here today, because I won the mental health battle for my child. And I cannot wait to share all the stuff that I have learned over the years with you right now. So I'm going to be going over 6 steps to win this battle. But first, I've got to start from the very beginning. So my son, I am actually the mother of 8 children, but my oldest son, Ezekiel, he's almost 18 years old now. When he was born, he was perfect, healthy, wonderful birth, wonderful pregnancy. Everything was delightful. And for many months, that was our reality. But then he did get his vaccines, and I believe it was his second set of vaccines, that from that day forward, nothing was the same. And I'm sure you guys have heard this kind of story over and over and over again. And it was the same with us. He screamed a lot. And then eventually, as he grew up a little bit, he raged, and he became a danger to himself and a danger to others. At the time he was 4 years old, the doctors diagnosed him with bipolar, which I'm pretty sure any doctor nowadays would never have diagnosed him with that. They probably would have diagnosed him with autism, high-functioning autism. However, back then, 18 years ago, that was rarely talked about and really not understood, so they diagnosed him with bipolar. And they medicated him a lot. When we went in for testing to try and figure out what was wrong with him, because we originally thought, okay, maybe he's in pain. Maybe he has, maybe he got into like lead-based pain or something. We had no idea what was wrong. We would literally spend the day holding him down, keeping him from clawing at his face and drawing blood, or attacking his siblings, or just in general raging and being really angry. And it was scary. It was very scary. And eventually his doctors just said, well, he's got a chemical imbalance. And I went, great, okay, so we now know what's wrong. What's the chemical that's out of balance, and how do I bring that back into balance? And the doctor looked at me and said, well, we don't know what chemical's out of balance. And the protocol is we just throw drugs at him until one of them sticks. And I went, oh, okay. I didn't know. I didn't know I should speak up for my son. I didn't know what we were about to walk into. And so at the age of 4, we drugged him a lot. By the time he was 6, he was taking handfuls of medication, and he was being drugged as if he was a 300-pound male. So much so that he eventually had to be hospitalized in a maximum security mental hospital at 6 for 2 weeks. And during that time, they overdosed him and rushed him to the hospital, normal hospital, where doctors had absolutely no idea what to do for this kid who was raging so bad. It took 10 nurses to hold him down. 5 of them were men, and blood was everywhere. I mean, it was like a crime scene. The staff was becoming terrified. He was out of his mind because he was so drugged. They eventually just knocked him out. From that day forward, the protocol for him was drug him so much that he sleeps for 3 days. We called it nuking him. And we did that until he was 10. So from 6 to 10, we were literally killing him. His liver was shutting down, and the doctors would tell me when I was very concerned because he had to go in for blood draw I was every month, sometimes more often, just to see how well his liver was doing and handling all this medication. And it was getting worse and worse and worse. And the doctor said, well, this at least keeps him from raging, which it kind of did. And he might live to 40 before his organs just completely shut down. That was the plan. That was the big game plan. And I didn't know to speak up. I didn't know that that wasn't a good idea. So I just went with it. I did what I always did. And then when he was 10, there was a plot twist in my life. My 5th child was born, a beautiful baby girl, again, very healthy. When she was 8 months old, she got a cold. Now, at this point, I'm the mother of 5. I can handle a cold, right? It's not a big deal. She got a fever. The fever got high, getting a little worried. At that time, I was using ibuprofen, Tylenol around the clock, just like you're supposed to do. And the fever wasn't going away. So the doctor eventually hospitalized her, and then she was medevaced to Seattle Children's Hospital because she was so dangerously ill that they didn't know what to do with her. They literally flew her from Anchorage, Alaska to Seattle to try and save her life. And it was there in Seattle's hospital that they said, Mrs. Liebich, I'm sorry, but she's going to die. There's nothing we can do. We've run every test. We've tested her for every illness we've ever seen here in the United States, any illness overseas, She doesn't meet any of the criteria for any of them, but her organs are shutting down and we can't explain it. It's like her body's just destroying itself. So they sent her home to die. I'm going to shorten the story significantly because this took 4 months. We were giving her steroids, which were designed to suppress her immune system. The theory was that since her immune system was kind of overworking, if we suppress its ability, maybe that would heal her. She kept getting worse and worse. The more we suppressed her immune system, the worse she would get. She eventually got so bad that they were literally giving her days to live. And the doctor flew from Seattle to Anchorage to meet her and said, look, she's not getting any better. She's getting really, really bad now. I think we need to hospitalize her again. And I want to try her on this intravenous steroid and see how that does for her. But what happened next is they handed us a stack of papers. And in that paperwork were all the side effects. And at the very last page was a huge black box that said this could cause death. And they said it was so dangerous to be giving a young baby, a young infant, that they were very hesitant to do it, but they didn't know what else to do. My husband and I did not have peace about that decision at all. We could not bring ourselves to sign that paperwork, so we didn't. And we went home and we prayed, and we felt very strongly that it was time to do anything but that. And so I would love to tell you I had all the faith in the world that this was going to work, but I didn't. We had essential oils at that time. We'd just gotten them. We barely learned to use them, but I needed to do something. And I was reading and researching that essential oils are very supportive. And we started putting essential oils on the bottom of her feet every time we changed her diaper, which is about 5 to 6 times a day. And we used oils like Thieves, Copaiba, and ImmuPower. Every week she had to get a blood draw. So the next week was the day before her birthday. We went in, we got a blood draw. And the following day, on her birthday, I got a call from her doctor, who was almost in tears. And I thought, oh God, this is it. She's going to die. We're over. We're done. And instead she said, Carrie, I cannot explain it, but your child's numbers, Jubilee's numbers, are better. Oh my God, what did we just come across? And when I stopped rejoicing, it finally dawned on me, there is nobody more powerful than a mother to understand and instinctively know what's best for their child. And I was on a mission. Now I was empowered and on fire. I was so passionate about figuring out a way to save all of my children's, anything that came their way, to give their body the best possible chance. So I did, because I'm a victorious mother. And guess what? You are too. And I'm going to show you how I did this. And it is so simple to just research and know how the body works, understand how to support it. So you guys ready to dive in? Because I had that massive plot twist and it changed my life. I don't want you to go through that. Let's just learn from the beginning and empower mothers all over the world right from the beginning that they are enough. You are enough for your child. Your child needs you more than ever to be an incredible researcher. And I don't even like research people. I don't. But when you put my child's life on the line, yeah, I like research all of a sudden. It's my favorite thing to do. And I'm enough. Okay, so I get asked every single time I speak, Carrie, if you had to do it all over again and you could just pick one thing, what would you pick? I'd pick 2 things. First, frankincense. We have a phrase in our home that's literally, do not freak out, frank out. And we do. Every single time we don't know what to do, we grab frankincense. Frankincense is incredibly calming. And when your child has just hit Mach 1 rage, that's what you need. You need to bring that kiddo down and just have him calm down, him or her calm down, relax, take several deep breaths. It's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Because when you're having a mental health crisis, the first thing you do is kind of panic and then frequently act with rage and irritation and anger. Frankincense is very calming, and I love it for that reason. So we will put several drops on the top of his head. I will rub several drops across his chest. My favorite, though, is frankincense's cousin, sacred frankincense. And when my son hits full-blown rage, which thank the Lord, he does not do that anymore. But when he did, back when he was 10, he would do this on a several times a day basis. My husband, you're going to think I'm crazy, but we did this. So I'm just letting you know. My husband would put 2 drops of frankincense on these 2 fingers. And then as my son's full-blown raging, we'll come up behind him and right up the nostrils. Within seconds, he calmed. The rage was full-blown rage down to, and then he was just angry. And then he was just kind of huffing. And then he was calm. Seconds. Worked that fast. Frankincense is in our home all the time. Sacred frankincense is cousin, always in our home. So calming, so relaxing. And that's what you need. You need something to put out the fire. Just something to go, can we please just take a moment here? Everybody calm down. Mama needs to think and do some research here and figure out what's really going on. So frankincense is my best friend. He's in my home all the time, and we use them daily. Frankincense is amazing. The second thing that absolutely was a game changer for my family and gave me back my son was CBD. And I wish I had come into CBD sooner, but I was, unfortunately, that mom was terrified of CBD, likened it to marijuana, and I thought, I can't get my son high. That I cannot do. I won't do that. I won't go there. Until Young Living brought in CBD, and I'm like, okay, now if Young Living's going to bring in CBD, I've got to take a look at this. So I started really studying it, and I was amazed at what I learned. And I went, okay, now's the time to try it. So I did. My son, who had zero social reciprocity back then, could not make eye contact, did not have any understanding that the other person had emotions, would run right into me and just keep on walking. I'd be like up against a wall because he just plowed into me. And he never even clued in that he ran into another human being. With CBD, all that came back. Now I literally get on the daily, Mom, I love you. Eye contact, the whole 9 yards. Mom, I really appreciate what you just did for me. What? First of all, a teenager just said that to me. I'm floored at what CBD has done for my family and what it's done for my son. Absolutely life-changing for him. So he takes that every single day. So those are my two put out the fires. Okay, the next thing I want to talk to you about is sleep. The measuring stick for whether or not you have a mental health issue is how well you're sleeping. If you're not sleeping very well, your mental health is going to suffer. That's just common sense. It doesn't mean you have a mental health condition, but it is definitely a measuring stick. And it's something that I learned all through the years of taking Zeke to and from the psychiatrist. How's he sleeping? Well, he's not sleeping at all. Bill and I would take shifts watching him in the night because he didn't sleep. And if he did sleep, it was like 45 minutes to maybe 3.5 hours. It was exhausting. Thankfully, there are essential oils and supplements infused with essential oils that are super calming, and they have been very beneficial at helping my son get to sleep and stay asleep. And now I have trouble getting him out of bed because he's acting like a normal teenager now. So for him, the oil that he prefers is Rutavala. That is his go-to calming oil when he needs to get a good night's sleep. And he roll a ball right up the back of his neck, and he's out in like minutes. He loves it. The only other thing that he really depends on and loves is Sleep Essence. That is a supplement that you take orally, a tiny little soft gel. That is another game changer for him as well. He really likes the combination of Rutavala and Sleep Essence. He gets a phenomenal night's sleep, and his mood is markedly better the next day. Sleep is critical. I go into a massive detail in my book, but for now, we're just going to keep it right there. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is focus. This is step 3. Getting any child who has focus issues, and it can be like the daydreaming focus issues, or it can be, legitimately squirrel. Everything they do and say is, they can't even hold their attention on anything for any period of time. When my son was in the mental health institute on lockdown, he was diagnosed as the most extreme case of ADHD San Antonio, Texas has ever seen. Wow. Something to write home about, right? Not exactly what this mama wanted to hear. The most extreme case. So I really understand focus, or the inability to stay focused to an extreme level. Ezekiel could not sit still for more than 3 minutes. 5 minutes was amazing. Games, things like Play-Doh, a puzzle, it didn't work. Not for more than a couple minutes, and he was off to something else. I barely get one project cleaned up before he had already left the project he just went to. He was so flighty and spacey and completely unfocused. So getting him to stay focused for even 20 minutes would have literally saved my life because I could have taken a shower. So I immediately researched oils that would be calming to the mind to help focus. After speaking with Ezekiel, now that he's older, and saying, what is it like having ADHD? What is it like with your brain? He's like, Mom, it's like 14 freeways descending in your head all at the same time, and you're trying to make sense on what cars are going which direction. It's impossible. So for him, he needed oils that would calm the chaos. And his favorite oil is vetiver. Vetiver is a masculine smell. I love it. Don't think that women can't use it, but I happen to think it's extremely sexy on my husband, and I really like it when my boys wear it because it just smells so amazing. I am in love with vetiver. He puts 2 to 3 drops in the back of his neck, and instantly his mind just calms. He calms down. He can stay focused for extended periods of time. To date, at 18 years old, for him, it's amazing when he can stay focused for more than an hour. But an hour for him is a good period of time to stay focused. And quite honestly, a lot of us have trouble staying focused more than an hour. We need to get up, stretch your legs, and do something different for a brief period of time, and then we can come back to it. Ezekiel's no different. So vetiver is wonderful for helping him stay focused. It also is extremely calming. So it's a twofer for him. It calms his mind down, and it calms his mind down to a point where he can stay focused for periods of time. Love, love, love that oil. I gotta tell you this quick story about Common Sense though. Common Sense is a blend, and this is probably the funniest thing that I ever experienced because it was right when we were getting into oils. We were just experimenting. I see an oil blend called Common Sense. I'm like, the whole world needs Common Sense. I'm buying this oil. So when it came in the mail, I set the diffuser right next to my son who was reading, and I thought, let's just see what happens. I mean, what could go wrong, right? So I put Common Sense in the diffuser. I set it next to my son. He's reading for maybe 30 minutes. I walk back out through the room. I've got a basket of his laundry. I'm like, hey, buddy, can you take this laundry and put it away in your room? Sure, Mom. And he grabs the laundry and goes upstairs. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This is right when we're getting going here, okay? My jaw dropped. My son just said yes to a chore. Okay, then. I was pretty happy about that. Well, he goes up to his room. The door closes. And probably another 30 minutes pass, and I don't hear anything. Now I'm starting to worry, because when you don't hear something, something's going on. So I'm starting to worry, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Bill walks past the door. I say, honey, can you just check on Zeke and see what's going on? Just make sure he obeyed, because I told him to put away his laundry. So he opens up the door, and then he closes the door. And he turns and looks at me and goes, you're going to want to see this. So I march up the stairs. I open the door. I close the door. We stared at each other for like 3 minutes, not saying a word. He had completely cleaned his room, organized his closet, cleaned out from underneath his bed, emptied all of his dresser drawers, and was currently matching, folding, and organizing his socks. His room was spotless. It looked like the military came in and cleaned. Oh, you better believe we diffuse Common Sense a whole lot more in our house now. That oil was phenomenal for us. So that's just another little story and how powerful these oils have been in our lives, and I absolutely love them. Okay, we're going to go on to step 4 now, communication. If you have a kiddo that has difficulty transitioning, I want to give you a tip that I have used with great success. I call it announcing your intentions. It is going to seem so weird and so foreign when you do it the first time, but it has got to be the greatest tip I have ever learned in trying to help a kiddo who transitions very poorly. So for Ezekiel, I literally walk into his room and I look him in the eyes, and now he's not looking at me, he's not paying attention to me, he's doing his thing. Hey, Ezekiel. And then eventually he looks up. Once he looks up, I said, I'm about to tell you I need you to clean your room. Are you ready for me to tell you that? And I wait. He's processing. He goes, okay, I'm ready. Ezekiel, I need you to clean your room. Okay. Trust me, it works. It is the strangest thing. But for kiddos who have difficulty transitioning, it's usually a processing issue. They need time to think through what you're asking them. And so when we come in and we say something like, hey buddy, it's time for bed, or hey, I just made your favorite dinner, and they aren't ready to transition to that next activity, it can be met with rage. But when you announce that you're about to tell them something, it does something in their brain. It's almost like a pause. Hold on. You're going to ask me that? I don't think I like that you're about to ask me that, but okay, go ahead and ask. And it works. It doesn't mean he always cleans his room. It doesn't mean it's not met with, I don't want to clean my room, but the rage doesn't follow. For him, it's key. So I hope that blesses somebody out there. It is going to seem so weird the first time you try that. Believe me, you're going to feel like an idiot. However, it is the greatest blessing ever for a kiddo who has difficulty transitioning. Greatest blessing ever. And when people ask me, why are you doing that? I say, if your beloved spoke only French, would you speak to them in German? No, you'd speak to them in French. This is their language. This is their processing language. And so out of love, this is what I do for my son. And it's wonderful, especially when he's really involved in something he wants to do. All right. The only other thing I want to tell you about communication is use the words, I trust you. As victorious mothers, we often forget that we can trust our child with mental health issues. You're going to phrase it a little differently. So my son also is very impulsive. Thankfully, he's not nearly as impulsive as he was as a child, but I could never imagine saying to him when he was growing up, I trust you, because I didn't trust him with anything. I trusted him to ruin something, to break something, to hurt somebody. I didn't trust him to do the right thing. Like I said, he was extremely impulsive. But what I learned is to be preemptive. Because the negative, the absence of being able to trust somebody creates distrust and stress on a relationship. And that is the last thing you need with your child who has a mental health issue. You need to have trust. You need to have peace. You need to have understanding and compassion on both sides. So for me, this was another big game changer. And I preemptively say, I trust you. So I will walk into the room instead of, when he says, hey, Mom, can I go do X, Y, Z? Oh, yeah, sure, I trust you. No. I walk in the room and go, hey, I know you need to make this really big decision in your life, and I trust that you're going to make a wise decision. So I preemptively tell his brain that he is trustworthy in what he's about to do. It works beautifully. And it enabled me to say that without feeling like I was lying, because I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't trust him for the longest time. I was actually kind of scared of him. I'm being brutally honest. It was a really trying time in both of our lives. So for me, being able to say, I trust you, has meant everything to him, because he did grow up thinking that he wasn't enough. He didn't believe in himself because his mother didn't believe in him. So that's been a huge game changer as well for building that bridge between the two of us. Okay, we're at step 5. Let's talk about emotions. This is really, really important, you guys. Your emotions are energy and motion. And I want you to really, really hone in on that. Energy and motion. Your brain emits a magnetic frequency that is extremely powerful and can be felt from somebody standing near you. But here's what most people don't know. Your heart emits a magnetic frequency 100 times stronger than your brain. And it can be felt 3 feet away. So if I am standing 3 feet from you, I can feel your heart energy. And remember, emotions are energy in motion. So even if you're having a terrible day, maybe you got in an argument with your spouse or something terrible happened at work or whatever, and I say, hey, how you doing? And you come back with, oh, I'm fine. Your heart energy just screamed at me, I'm not fine. I'm not fine at all. So I need you to really hone in on those words and just how powerful your energy in motion is. Now let's bring in the mental health aspect of this. If you have a mental health issue, it is extremely difficult for you to wake up in the morning and go, I'm feeling great, because you're not feeling great. You're feeling pretty poor. That emotion can be felt. It is so important to raise your frequency, because positive emotions can be felt and are very powerful. Negative emotions can be felt and are very powerful. And how high your frequency determines how positive your emotions are. So if your frequency is higher, your emotions are going to be high. Your energy is going to be positive. If your frequency is lower, you're going to have those negative thoughts and feelings. You got to raise your frequency. You've got to raise your frequency. There's a term called illusory truth effect. What that means is when you speak, whether it's true or not, your body's going to take it as a truth. So let me explain. Women do this to themselves all the time. So I want you to imagine standing in front of your bathroom mirror, and you look in the mirror, you're like, oh, man, look so bloated today, or I'm so ugly. Gosh, I'm getting so old. My wrinkles. You know, you start picking at yourself, say it often enough, it's going to become your reality. You're going to start looking bloated every day. You're going to start looking old and ugly every day. You're going to start having more and more wrinkles because your body cannot determine the difference between a truth and a lie. Your subconscious, when it hears it over and over and over again, believes it and takes it as a truth. Be very careful what you say to your child. Be very careful. And I learned this the hard way. When I put my son in a mental health institute, he felt abandoned. He felt unlovable. And I said things to him. I never told him he wasn't loved. Never. But I did say things like, what is the matter with you? Why are you doing this? You're acting like such a fool. What do you think he's going to think of himself? He is not going to have a high self-esteem at all. He's going to think he's completely worthless. And he did. And he did. So when I would walk past him, hey, buddy, how you doing? I might have been having the greatest day on the planet. He'd go, fine. But his heart energy was not fine at all. I had completely destroyed my child. Completely destroyed him because I spoke what was in my brain without thinking of the effect it would have on him. So important to really watch what you're saying and change it up again. I learned eventually, thank you, Jesus, to bite my tongue. I literally would teeth on tongue and hold it down so I could not speak. Not to draw blood, just you cannot speak. And then I would stop and think of how to respond instead of react. And when I responded, I made sure my words were encouraging. I made sure my words built him up. Thankfully, over time, I learned how to change the way I spoke to him. And instead of what's wrong with you, I would change it to, I can see you're really struggling right now. You know what, buddy? I believe in you. I know you're going to make a wise decision. It was such a game changer for me. Absolute game changer. There's one more thing I need you to know about emotions. Your sense of smell is the only sense you have that invokes an emotional response before a physical response. All of your other senses invoke a physical response first. For example, if I clap my hands, you more than likely blinked just a little bit. That's a physical response. But if you walked into a room and smelled cinnamon, your mind might go back to grandma's apple pies and the memory you had with her growing up and how she used to make these amazing pies at Thanksgiving. You had an emotional response because you felt the warmth and the love of grandma. And then you had a physical response, probably hunger. So just keep that in mind because we use essential oils for that very reason. When you smell an essential oil, it goes right through your olfactory into the limbic region of your brain and creates a pathway of unlimited potential. It's amazing. So it's important to note that you can use your sense of smell to literally change pathways in your brain because it's always associated with an emotion. Let me give you an example. I want you to imagine this field of grass, tall grass, okay? And your child has a propensity to get angry. This would be a perfect example of Ezekiel when he was growing up. He was perpetually angry. Very, very angry child. Well, that is basically what he did to that field is he took a lawnmower and he mowed a path. And every single time he got angry, he went right down that path. Same path, never detoured. That anger path. Every single time. Eventually, that path became paved, cemented in. And then over time, it became like a 2-lane highway. Then a 6-lane highway. Now we've got skyscrapers on both sides. It is such a well-worn path. His brain just automatically goes to it every single time. When you use an essential oil and you smell the essential oil, it's almost as if it erases that path. It doesn't erase that path, but what it does is it gives your brain a pause and allows you to choose a new path. So we use essential oils to help him use the neuroplasticity. That's a term that means basically you can rewire around and go a different direction. And that term is thrown around all the time with people who have strokes or something like that, and a portion of the brain is damaged, and they have to relearn how to pick up a spoon or use their mouth to chew or something like that. Neuroplasticity is where you go around a damaged part and create a new path, okay? Same thing's going on here. You're using an essential oil, you're smelling it, and then you are actively choosing a different path. And the opposite of anger is laughter. The opposite of fear and anxiety is faith. Think about that for a moment. If you are laughing so hard that you're like, tears are coming out of your eyes and, oh my goodness, you might butt yourself kind of feeling, you're not angry. And if you have such incredible faith that what's about to happen is going to be absolutely for your blessing, you're not fearful, filled with anxiety. Do you see how there's exact opposite emotions? So if you've got that well-worn path of anger, using an essential oil will give you an opportunity to go, whoop, hold on, I don't want to go down that path anymore. I want to go this way. And now every time you smell that oil, you're going to choose that path because you've created another path, a different path, and you've rewritten your future. It's a beautiful thing. So for my son, who had a low self-esteem and feelings of worthlessness, we used essential oils. Frankincense is one of the ones we used a lot to help him choose the path of joy, to choose the path of laughter, to choose the path of innocent childhood. It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So I want to encourage you to use your essential oils for that. And quite honestly, I don't think it matters which one you want to use. I really don't. I have had success with all of them. What's important is that you smell and you choose. That's what matters. So do that. It works wonderfully. Okay, we're going to move on to the last topic, and this is topic number 6, vitamins and minerals. This is huge, you guys. Dr. Carl Pfeiffer is an amazing doctor. He is deceased. I would have loved to sit at his feet and learn. He discovered that all mental health issues, all of them, I don't care what you're diagnosed with, it doesn't matter. He was successfully treating schizophrenia, which is one of the hardest mental health conditions to treat. He was curing that because he discovered that all mental health issues was a serious and significant deficiency of vitamins and minerals. And our soils are depleted. I don't care if you have a wonderful organic garden or you're buying all the organic produce. No matter what you do, our soils are so depleted of vitamins and minerals that we just aren't getting enough. We just simply aren't. So a supplement is absolutely critical. And if you have a child like mine who wasn't processing vitamins and minerals, food would go in and it would come out almost exactly the way it went in. I literally, even when I was changing his diapers when he was young, I'm thinking to myself, what is wrong with this kid? This stuff, I mean, of course, carrots and raisins, right? But all the foods that went in, it went right back out. And it was like it was never digested. And it was so fast. I mean, he would eat, go to the bathroom, eat, go to the bathroom. Nothing was being absorbed and taken up into his body. And that's when I went, I've got to do something about his gut. So for me, the biggest game changers for his mental health was fixing his gut. And with that, I used enzymes. I love Mighty Zymes for kids. Love, love, love them. I did an experiment once where it's a chewable, I took a Mighty Zyme, I stuck it in a bowl of oatmeal, and I started stirring. It liquefied in just a couple minutes. It was amazing. And when I started giving him Mighty Zymes, and now because he's older, I give him Essential Zymes and Essential Zymes 4, his body is finally breaking down the food and absorbing the nutrients. The other thing that I added to his diet, and that was a huge game changer, was mineral essence. Oh my goodness, that is heaven sent. It is an ionic compound of minerals that our body absolutely critically needs, but it's infused with essential oils, which is huge because without it, you just get diarrhea. That's not helpful at all. The only other thing that we do not go a day without is multigreens. Multigreens are a capsule, which you can totally break apart and dump into smoothies if your kiddo's not swallowing them. You can't swallow capsules at this time. And again, it's infused with essential oils and a huge game changer as well, because now we're getting a power-packed green superfood with essential oils. Massive, massive game changer for our family. And that really made the difference. You guys, it is possible. It is more than possible for you, victorious mother, to take your child's mental health in your own hands. It's amazing what happens when you take the toxins, the poisons out of their body and you replace it with things that actually are supportive and bring life to the body instead of hurting and harming the body. And I always think about this as an analogy, like you had a sick and injured dog. Would you stick it in a room and not feed it and not care for it, not speak lovingly kind words to it? No. You'd bring it into your fold and you would nourish it and you'd love on it and you'd care for it and you'd help it overcome its injuries and illness. It's the same thing with your child. Do what you were created to do. You were created to be victorious from the very, very beginning. The moment you found out you were pregnant with your precious child, you are enough. You are more than enough, victorious mother, and I know you can do it. It is not an overnight thing. It is a constant, loving battle that you can and will win, because I believe in you, and I know you are victorious. Be blessed, everybody, and have a great day.